Hello and welcome back to the saddest Hesse Bros pod so far we've had to record, Luke, this year at least. Chiefs and Lions both in big spots, both stinky this week. But it's your boy Brent Hesse and my brother Luke. We're still back here. It's needed a couple of days, but we're ready for the Hesse Bros pod going into week 12. Luke, man, tough week, huh?
Yeah, it was tough, but I mean, it's still mid-November. There's plenty of football to be played in the NFL, and we're just ramping things up here at the Hesse Bros Pod. A couple losses are not going to get us down. Well, at least not me.
Yeah, I was ready for college basketball season by Sunday night, but I guess we can tough it out at least one more week, see what happens. Hopefully, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Luke, where do you want to start here?
Well, let's start off with that Chiefs Broncos game. We teased it. It was, probably the biggest regular season game in Mahomes' career, and he fell short. The Broncos ended up getting it done right there at the end with the field goal. Brent, who does the blame fall on for the Chiefs in that loss?
Falls on a lot of people. It's definitely not just one. I think it's pretty split evenly. About 40%, I'd say the not majority, but definitely the most falls on Andy Reid, the coach, because the Chiefs were just flat out outcoached in that game. You could tell even at halftime, the Broncos had confidence late in the game. The Broncos made the plays, and Kansas City didn't on both sides of the ball. And that goes with Mahomes twice in the fourth quarter. Once Mahomes had the ball with the lead, once he had the ball tied up, both of those drives resulting in absolutely nothing. You give the ball back. And then the defense. Bo Nix was classic Bo Nix, where he struggled the whole entire game. And in the fourth quarter, when the Chiefs typically get big stops on a 3rd and 15 and a 3rd and 6, the Broncos extend drives and win the game. So there's blame to be passed around. There's plenty of it. Trust me. There's enough to go around, and everyone gets a fair share. I think Andy Reid and the coaching staff, they need to do a long look because it's frustrating. You would think a team like that would have better answers in back-to-back weeks against both Buffalo and against Denver, and they didn't have them. Then, of course, Mahomes couldn't move the ball. The team really struggled to move the ball. The only time they did was on long penalties. They got some pass interferences that set them up to get scoring drives. Then they're in scoring range and they get another bad penalty. And it leads to a terrible interception by Mahomes in the red zone. So the offense couldn't move the ball. And then the defense couldn't get big stops. And then whenever they needed to, they also committed bad penalties. And then they just could not get stops in the crucial downs. So there's enough blame to go around, and everybody is responsible.
I'd say that's definitely fair, Brent, but we got to look at the bigger picture here. It's still, I mean, that was a divisional game. It was a huge game to be able to win the division, but I feel like the Chiefs can definitely still make their way in the playoffs. And I mean, they're a team nobody wants to see, that's for sure. Do you give, a decent amount of credit to the Broncos? Like, that did look like a pretty good team, a team that deservedly so is the top of the AFC right now.
Well, the defense is tremendous. I expected Kansas City to get 20, 23 points. So they were right there. They scored 19. They just couldn't get the stops. Denver had points late in the game, won in the game. So, yeah, I give a lot of credit to Denver. They're definitely a good team, and they're headlined by that defense, which is tremendous. They caused problems all game long, as expected. But to be honest, right now, it's maybe just because it's very different than years past, but what's the point? What's the point of being the 7 seed? Because they're not winning road games against good teams. Against playoff teams, they lost on the road to Jacksonville. They lost a road game in Buffalo. We just saw them lose to Denver, and they lost their road game against the Chargers, albeit it wasn't in LA, but it was still their road game. So that's 4 teams currently in the AFC playoffs or have the potential to be in the AFC playoffs. And right now, the Chiefs couldn't beat any of them on the road. So if they're a wild card team, that's what you'd have to do. And it doesn't give me very much confidence because I haven't seen it. And now they don't really have any more road tests in the AFC. So I guess we'll see in a couple months if they end up winning enough games at home to get there. But I'm it's pretty bleak for the outlook for this Hesse, bro.
I still think that, I mean, they definitely got a good shot. And Brent, this is the team we were saying just a year ago. I thought it was preseason until they get to the playoffs, anyways. I mean, I get they're not going to be able to have their home field advantage, but I mean, if they get in the dance, you got to think it's going to be tough. They're going to be a tough out for anybody, and I feel like as long as they get one game, they're right there in the divisional round, possibly. I mean, I would not want to mess with the Chiefs, except for in the Super Bowl. That'd be pretty nice.
Well, it's preseason if you've got an 11-2 record and you're top of the division. It's not preseason when you're giving the crown over to the AFC West to Bo Nix of all people. It's pretty heartbreaking and embarrassing in my opinion. But yeah, I do give credit to Denver for the win. They earned it. I was wrong. I'll put my hand up. And yeah, right now we'll see about down the road, but right now the playoffs in the AFC are definitely wide open, and Kansas City is no longer the favorite for the AFC, which is very fair.
Yep. Well, that's what happens, but nothing like a good underdog story for you, B has.
Yeah, I prefer to not be this way, but we will talk about a different game, and that is another team that did not deliver to our expectations. Just following the Chiefs' loss, the Lions could only muster one touchdown, even on that touchdown penalty, couldn't get the extra point. And the offense really struggled to move the ball on grass, not in a dome, not in comfy confines. And that has been the Lions' issue pretty much since they've had this collection of players. Do you still have faith that Jared Goff can be the guy after his struggles in a tough road environment where it wasn't to his likings and he did not deliver?
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely has been tough for the Lions this year on the road, especially. But last year, you got to remember, this team was undefeated on the road, 8-0, did not lose a single game, and that was in a couple of not great conditions. But yeah, this year losing at the Packers and at the Eagles, not what you want to see. But that game was really just terrible conditions for the Lions. First off, our interior offensive line is just, they're struggling a lot of batted balls too. That is something that is really just affected the offense, caused a ton of those incompletions from Goff. And I mean, the receivers didn't help him out either. St. Brown had one of his worst games I've seen, couple of drops, not getting open, and it was just not good at all from the offense. And we couldn't run the ball. So the Eagles have a great defense. I still 100% believe Goff can be that guy. We need to find a better way to protect him. We saw against the Vikings and the Eagles how bad he played whenever he's getting under pressure there. But I know we can figure out a way to get the ball out quick. I mean, we see the explosive plays. Even though, we only ended up with 9 points, we had so many explosive plays, just couldn't finish on those fourth downs. And that's what'll happen every once in a while whenever you go for it that much. At the end of the day, I 100% believe in Goff and what he can do. He can definitely, get us some wins, and we're right there for the division. We can still get that home playoff game. Still playing the Packers and the Bears again. Get those two dubs, and we'll be all right. Definitely is not great from the offensive line though. Need to figure out a better way to protect him.
And not only protection, but also the run game. Another game where Gibbs had some plays in the pass game, but running was hard to come by for that Detroit offense. What's the issue there?
Yeah, I just really think it's the blocking. It's not looking good from our front three interior linemen. I think we need to make a change probably at left guard. Mahogany is not doing it. We Ratledge is playing pretty good. Our center, Glasgow is getting pretty old, not really moving people as much as he used to. So we're gonna need to make some changes there in the offseason for sure. But this year, I feel like it's gonna have to be we have, the players where you still got Montgomery, take him up the middle, he'll still be able to get a couple of yards. That was just a really good defense. And they knew we wanted to run the ball for the most part until we had to throw it towards the end. I mean, with those weather conditions, though, the wind, it was just nothing in our favor. And that's how some games will go. The only tough thing is we might have to go back to Philadelphia in the playoffs if it comes to that point and beat that team there because we lost that game, which would be very difficult to do.
Well, it sounds like your panic level is a little bit lower than mine. Where would you put your panic meter from 1 to 10, 1 being completely fine, not worried whatsoever, 10 is full on meltdown?
I'd say two. I'm not worried at
Wow.
all. I'm a Lions fan. I've seen it all, Brent, and I know we're making the playoffs. This team is still different. We still got Dan at the helm, and he's going to get these boys fired up for a November, December push. I have no doubt about it.
See, I guess for me, I've been used to living in a nice, luxurious castle, and I've had nice maids and people waiting and fetching me whatever I need for the last several years. The Wi-Fi is always working at complete capacity. I can take my horses out for a ride anytime I want, and somehow they serve me the eviction notice papers, and I'm still, had enough left over to rent a nice little abode, but sometimes the Wi-Fi goes out. I've got to make my own dinners, and I just don't like it. I mean, I used to be fine with this, but now it's not as cool anymore after used to be living the life of luxury for the last 7, 8 years.
Hey, welcome to the rest of the NFL, pal. But hey, dust yourself off, get back out there. You'll be seeing some more Chiefs football. Coming off two losses though like that, not what you want to see. But they can definitely get going. We're gonna get into all those matchups coming up in a little bit. But we gotta stay with week 12 for a little bit, or week 11, the game of the week. The game we were talking about last week, my top two teams in the 12 pack, the Seahawks and the Rams. I mean, that was a great game. What we were looking for, and it came down to a long field goal attempt. Barely misses it at the end of the game for the Seahawks to lose by 2 points to the Rams. And Rams take control of the division and really the NFC at this point. But Brent, do you think that you have Seattle QB concerns, or are you encouraged by their defense after Darnold throws 4 picks and they still hold the Rams to only 21 points?
I'm honestly more encouraged by their defense because I expected their quarterback to melt down as a pumpkin does after midnight in primetime games and in big marquee moments. That's what Darnold always does. The lights get too bright for him and he cannot see straight. But the defense kept him in that game. Absolutely. Got a key turnover on Nakua's fumble and then just kept Stafford from moving the ball. They got the touchdowns, and that was key for the Rams to be able to turn some of those short drives and get a couple of those drives and make sure they capitalize for touchdowns. But overall, it was not easy sledding by the Rams. It looked like a game that they should have been able to create a way more of a margin than what they did. So I was definitely encouraged by that Seahawks defense. The game played out kind of how I expected to, except maybe I figured Darnold would have maybe one less turnover and that the Rams would win by one more touchdown. So all in all, I'd say I was more encouraged by the defense. What about you?
100% the defense. I mean, that was really incredible to watch. I mean, Darnold meltdown was incredible. I mean, he threw a pick. They showed the replay. Throws 2 picks. Oh, look all these picks he's had. By the end, the fourth pick, his highlight reel of picks was like a minute long. They couldn't even show all of them. It was absolutely wild to see. And yeah, I mean, they were all terrible too. Terrible decisions. So Darnold, really bad game. But quarterbacks have those type of games. You get one of those. I mean, that was a really good defense going up against there. So that's all right for him. I think it's not sounding the alarm bells after one game like that, even though he has had some tendencies in the past. But yeah, definitely the defense. I mean, Devontae Adams had 8 targets, only that one touchdown catch. Even though that was his 1,000th catch of his career, that was pretty awesome. But getting the touchdown there, that was it though for him. And really incredible stuff from the defense. I do not want to see that Seahawks defense because I feel like they might be able to do the same thing they did to the Rams to the Lions.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But it's one thing you get one. I agree with that. But this quarterback in each of his last two games in moments like that, he had a chance to win the division last year. And then in the playoff game, those are his three worst games now. A chance to take the lead in the division, sole first place, and then last year we're trying to win the division and in the playoff game. So clearly there is a trend there that even if the defense is great, it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough, or at least it wasn't enough then. And if it's not enough now, how is it going to be when you have to win 3 games in a row against quality teams just to make a Super Bowl when the rest of their roster does look Super Bowl ready?
It is going to be tough to do, and he's going to have to really step up in that spot, which, yeah, you're right. He has not shown the ability to do. But, I feel like it's one of those things where if he gets hot and gets in the right mindset come the end of the year, he could be able to do it. Like, because I've seen him make really good throws against a lot of good teams, but I mean, that's just not really in the biggest spots, like you said. So, well, it's still just a wait and see for me. I'm not going to call it off that one game, but it is definitely a bad trend for him.
Well, let's talk week 11 reactions elsewhere, Luke. And we're going back to one of the games we've already talked about, but looking at it from the other side. And for me, the reaction on Sunday night was, wow, this Philadelphia playbook, it's looking awfully familiar to the one the Chiefs were running last year, which is just win games, but it doesn't look pretty, but they get it done. And now Philly is in the driver's seat in the NFC. They're ways away from everybody in their division, and they're up there fighting for the 1 or 2 seed. And it doesn't look good at all. Their offense is in the bottom third in yards per game. Another day where Hurts just did not have it to his playmakers, but they did enough to win the game and really won it pretty comfortably. They were never in a super precarious spot in that one, but somehow they're doing it. Luke, does I mean you kind of see the same thing as I'm seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it's so strange. Like they look so bad, especially on offense. Like the Lions' defense. I mean, they were making them look like the best defense in the NFL. Stop after stop after stop, could not move the ball the whole game. But that defense is just on another level. The way that they played the Packers and Lions back-to-back weeks in prime time completely shut both teams down. It's going to be tough to beat them, but I mean, yeah, the offense just does not have it right now. I don't know what it is, but Hurts is just I feel like he's not hitting any of his throws right, and Saquon just can't get going all year.
Well, we saw how it ended last year. It took till the Super Bowl, but Kansas City did get exposed there. Is that going to happen to Philadelphia? Something similar, or are they finally? They've got all the pieces. Are they finally going to be able to put it together at some point in the year?
I really don't think their offense can put it together this year. Obviously, they have great players, so they probably should be able to, but it's just been so consistent all year that they haven't really been able to do much at all offensively. So, and the thing is, I don't really know if they need to because of how good that defense is, how good they're looking right now. I mean, we'll see in the future if maybe their defense falls off a little bit. It's hard to keep a defense that strong for the entire year, but if they can do it, I mean, they really don't need that much from their offense.
What's one of your reactions from this week?
Well, that Chargers game, I teased it a little bit. Maybe the Jaguars pass rush could get to Herbert and really cause havoc, and that's exactly what happened. The Chargers are just in a world of hurt on their offensive line. One of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen. They cannot block anything. It's just a revolving door. It looks like that State Farm commercial with the guard just with the stop sign, just letting everyone run through straight to Herbert. It is not working out at all for them, and they are going to be in a world of hurt to be able to even make the playoffs. And if they do, they're going to be limping into the playoffs. I mean, this year might just be completely over for the Chargers. Listen to the teams they have to play left: the Eagles, Chiefs, Texans, and Broncos. I mean, Herbert might die this year. I'm sorry to tell you, but I mean, those are going to be 4 games where he is on the ground the entire time, and he's going to be. I hope he can make it to the playoffs. I hope maybe he can get a couple of those wins, but right now, I think the Chargers season is pretty much over from what I saw the other day.
Yeah, Chiefs Kingdom is going to need to hope he keeps ending up on his backside more than standing upright, because that's obviously one of the teams Kansas City could catch in the playoff race. And you're right, the offensive line just decimated. That we just talked about Philly. They had a big loss with Lane Johnson, and that could be big problems for their offense. It's already struggling, taking away another key piece. We've seen it already with the Chargers, an offense that was rolling earlier in the year. You lose a key tackle like that, and it can completely decimate a team. I agree with you. The Chargers are absolutely in a world of hurt. When you get blown out like that to Jacksonville, that's a problem. And it's not the first time they've gotten beat pretty soundly by teams that aren't really all that good. We saw it happen with the Giants. We saw it happen also with the Commanders. So, yeah, the Chargers right now, they still have the record that's holding up for a playoff spot, but there's a lot of time left. And the way that they're trending, is definitely a problem. You mentioned those four teams, all with great pass rushes and strong defenses as a whole, and they definitely could go 0-4 against those opponents.
Yeah, that would be tough. And that, I mean, even if they do get past there, making it into the playoffs, having to go on the road with that offensive line, I just don't see anything happening for them this year, unfortunately, with those two injuries to their tackles.
Luke, I want to react to a big picture look at the AFC because there's a new big three currently in the AFC. And in the last 2 years, we've seen the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. Those have been three of the final four teams in each of the last 2 years, and even going back longer than that. But it's always felt like, okay, it's going to come down to one of those three teams or two of those three teams in the AFC Championship, as it has for the last several years. Now you look at the top of the AFC, and there's a new big three in town and features teams in those divisions. But it's the Patriots, it's the Broncos, and then the Colts from the South. But it just is wild. It looks like the AFC is so wide open with those three teams. I still think that those other big three, the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens, could all play a role, but they're all going to have to play roles on the road, most likely. Even if the Ravens win the division, they'll get one home playoff game, but then they'll be on the road, probably at one of those three opponents in the next round. So do you see that as the AFC, those three teams, or do you still think it's the old guard that might be able to find it at the end?
I think I think the Bills definitely still have a really good shot to win their division over the Patriots. They still play each other coming up. And the Patriots, while they have looked really good, don't have a lot of, great wins besides that Bills game, the Bucks game, but I'm not really sure how much I count that as a big win. So the Patriots, I feel like could drop off and the Bills could take that spot, but besides that, it is wild because not a lot of people are predicting before the year that those three teams aren't going to, win their division, be the top of the AFC. So to have it, shaken out like this, it's why we love the NFL. You never know what's going to happen each year, and that's probably going to be what's happening going through either Indianapolis or Denver for the AFC.
Yeah, my the way I'm looking at it, you've got kind of nine teams I think that are still in the playoff race, really in the thick of it in the AFC. Those three new ones we mentioned at the top, the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Colts. Then you've got the old guard, those three, Ravens, Chiefs, Bills. And then you've got the other three hanging around, the Texans, Jaguars, and Chargers. I don't think either of us exceed Texans, Jaguars, or Chargers making, let's say, conference championship game, right? At least
Mhm.
one of them is going to get in, maybe two, and maybe one of them gets the division round. But out of those new three or the old three, where like is the AFC Championship going to be comprised of one of each, two of one of the other? Like if you had to pick who's going to make the Super Bowl, you either get those three. Would you rather pick the Broncos, Patriots, or Colts? I'll take any of those three, or would you take Bills, Chiefs, Ravens? Is still who you think's going to represent the AFC when it's all said and done? Because it's kind of flipped on its head a little bit.
Definitely flipped on its head, but give me the old guard, mainly just because it has the Baltimore Ravens, my Super Bowl pick, and the team that I still think is the best team in the AFC at this point. I said it last week, and I still agree with it right now. I think, they got a great team, and there's no reason why Lamar wouldn't be able, while it's been blown up like this in the AFC, why Lamar, what I feel like is the best player in the NFL can take his team to the Super Bowl on a year like this.
Okay, well, what else do you have from Week 11, Luke?
Well, I'm going to be talking about one of those teams as well, the Bills' rush defense. We talked about it last week a little bit too. Tampa Bay doesn't have that great of a rush attack, and this team made Sean Tucker look like Barry Sanders. I mean, what are they doing? They do not know how to tackle anybody. Just give anybody the ball up the middle, around the side. It doesn't matter. Hand the ball off. And the Bills just absolutely do not know how to tackle anybody. And it's going to be a big problem. Imagine they don't win the division, then they have to go to Indianapolis, say, and go up against Jonathan Taylor in the playoffs. Is he going to run for 300 yards? Probably. I mean, it really is incredible how bad their rush defense is this year. And that's why I really don't think they have that great of a shot.
I agree with that reaction as well. I think you can poke holes in so many of these teams that obviously somebody has to do it, but that is a major problem. Now, when Josh Allen's playing like that, though, it's enough to cover it. he had another incredible game, 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, and we're just like, oh well, even if we put ourselves in a little bit of a hole, even if we can't slow him down all that often, just need a couple of stops, and that's enough to get the job done. And it was. Bills still win that game by 10 points. So it was an impressive win by Buffalo against a quality team, against a playoff team. But that rush defense is a problem. And it's going to be one on Thursday night when they got to play the Texans and Woody Marks.
Yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting one, and I feel like Woody Marks is probably going to go off in that game. That'll definitely be an interesting one. But yeah, what was your biggest surprise of the week, Brent, from the past week of football?
Well, last week we saw the last time Lamar played, he had the win against the Vikings, but didn't look all that good. And again, Lamar did not look that good. I understand why you have confidence in the Ravens because we've obviously seen Lamar play at a high level. Very recently, he was runner up for MVP last year and his 2-time MVP won the year before. So we know that he's got that capability, but he struggled, and it's against a great defense. Myles Garrett wrecking games, but it was just the defense bailing out Lamar. I did not expect to see that back-to-back weeks from the Ravens, a reversal of what they looked like early in the year.
That was wild, but at least you knew the Browns weren't going to be able to do anything on offense, so that was still a pretty free win for the Ravens. How about Shadeur getting in there? What a great player. Kind of
Yeah,
had four
it looked
passing yards.
rough. I mean, there was a reason why he was not being able to get minutes over Gabriel, even when Gabriel was looking awful, because he somehow looked worse. So yeah, the Browns are an absolute mess. But to not be able to have to come down to the final plays like that, I was definitely surprised to me with Baltimore, and that's just another team in the AFC that isn't clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, that is a tough defense to be able to beat, but Lamar should have made better work of that game. You're right. Tough divisional matchup, though, so it is what it is.
What surprised you?
What surprised me was that 49ers team. I picked the Cardinals to beat them, but I should have been more locked in. Brock Purdy, George Kittle, I mean, that's a connection right there. They're both back and healthy, and they're ready to fire. Granted, the Cardinals defense is pretty atrocious, but the 49ers are a team I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on. And for them to be able to just absolutely move the ball, so effortlessly, it felt like against a real NFL defense, it was incredible. McCaffrey too, having him, Kittle, and Purdy back for the first time, and I don't even know how long. I guess week one maybe,
Yep.
but they've all been hurt, the entire year and for a lot of last year. So if they can start firing again, I mean, the Niners, this offense with a lot of the same pieces was one of the best offenses in the league a couple years ago. So if they keep, firing like this, they definitely could be a team to watch out for.
That was incredibly impressive. And I don't think the Cardinals defense is that bad. They've been in every game all year long. Even earlier in the season, they had the 49ers on the ropes and the Niners won that game. I think they didn't even get to 20 points in that win. It was pretty low scoring. Maybe it was 20-18 at the most San Francisco scored. Even last week, I know Seattle put up a ton of points, but two of those were defensive touchdowns. So you can't even fault the defense. I think that was definitely the best anybody's played against that Cardinals defense from start to finish all year long. And you're right, it has to do with those three players, Purdy, Kittle, and McCaffrey, all playing lights out. And the concern though is on the other side of the ball, that Niners defense so banged up that Jacoby Brissett and Michael Wilson and Trey McBride are setting records. And McBride, he deserves it. He's a hell of a player. But if you would have told me that Michael Wilson is going to have the most receiving yards in a game so far this season and Brissett's going to break the all-time completions in a game record, that is a concern on the other side of the ball. So as much as it was impressive on offense, there are major red flags and alarm bells going off on the other side.
Certainly, the defense is in a tough spot, but their offense is going to be putting up points. So, should be exciting games from here on out for those 49ers.
Definitely. A lot of exciting games this week to talk about, Luke. And we are going to start right with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to be making my way back to Arrowhead for it. 2-0 so far this year when I've been at Arrowhead, and that's been the Chiefs' two best wins, the Ravens and the Lions. So needing some good luck because if the Chiefs do not win this game, I think it is officially time to close this book on the 2025 season.
Absolute must win for the Chiefs. And, like you said, this is a huge game. The Colts, a great record coming to your house. It'll be a great game. I'm glad you're going to be able to go see it, Brent, and see the Chiefs try to revive their season. Is this a get right spot for the offense against this Colts defense?
Well, it has to be. It's really no choice. They have to put up a lot of points. The Colts offense is good. I think that Daniel Jones, now it's getting colder. It's getting later in the season. We already saw what happened to Darnold on a big stage. And Daniel Jones, the last couple of weeks, has looked a lot shakier. He looked amazing early on. And we saw him at Pittsburgh. We saw him in Germany. Now he's going to be in Arrowhead. That's not really a comfy place for an opposing quarterback. But even still, the way that team's moving the ball, I expect them to at least get some. And the offense is going to have more of a spark than what they've shown. The run game is basically non-existent. Kareem Hunt is doing his best, but he is severely limited at this point in his career. And Mahomes has to find it. He just has to. If he wants to still be talked about as the best quarterback in today's game, obviously he has earned all the accolades that I think, is the best quarterback in the NFL in terms of historical. But right now, he's not playing like the best and hasn't been for a season and a half now. So he has to deliver in a big moment. And he failed in his opportunity last week. He failed in his opportunity the week prior to that. Kelsey's playing well. I think Kelsey's doing as good as he can for his age. Rashee Rice had some uncharacteristic drops last week. He has to play better. Tyquan Thornton made the best play of the game for Kansas City. I'd like to see him more involved. And Xavier Worthy has been a ghost recently, too. So the offense needs to have a get right spot. The offensive line, hopefully, they can play a little bit more mistake free, get Josh Simmons more comfortable back in the role. Jawan Taylor needs to limit his mistakes and play good on the other side. I certainly hope it's a get right spot for Kansas City. At this point, though, I just have lost so much confidence. Even if they're playing in a close game, they've not won a close game this season. So they have to, I guess, dominate, because if it gets down to the fourth quarter, as crazy as that sounds with the Mahomes and Andy Reid team, that's been when they've been at their worst this year.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think the Chiefs probably should be all right in this one. The Colts, their last two games have been on the road. Granted, one was, in Berlin, so that was a far away one. Did not play great in that. Let the Falcons do a lot with their offense that has been struggling against other teams. And then you think back to that really only tough road test that they had in a tough environment. Their other games were in LA against the Steelers, and Danny Dimes fell apart in that one. So I feel like this is a spot where the Chiefs can look at that tape from the Steelers game, take some tips, and figure out a way to slow down Danny Dimes and really just slow down Taylor. As long as Taylor doesn't go crazy, make Danny Dimes beat you. It is what it is if he's able to do that. I don't think he's going to be able to do that in Arrowhead. And the Chiefs' offense should be able to do enough to win this game. That's the way I see it playing out.
Well, early on in the week, Luke, I was ready to pick the Indianapolis Colts in this game. And now I think that emotions, I can't tell if I was playing emotional ball on Monday or if I'm playing emotional ball today. I think probably a mix of both. But I am going to take Kansas City in this game. I think they win 27-20. But yeah, I don't know if I'm playing emotional ball now, wanting to see Kansas City still fight and believe that there's something left, or if I was playing emotional ball on Monday after seeing that game in Denver and realizing that the Kansas City Chiefs just don't have the same goods that they had in years prior. So I'm not sure. At least one of my thoughts will be right, Monday or today, but I'm taking Kansas City in this one.
Only time will tell, Brent. I'm there with you. I think the Chiefs should be able to get this one.
Well, let's talk Lions again. The Lions are back in the comfy confines of their closed quarters, taking on the New York Giants. Luke, Giants played pretty well against Green Bay, had a chance in that one with Jameis at quarterback. Jackson Dart was limited in practice most recently, coming off that concussion. As a Lions fan, who would you rather see quarterbacking the Giants, Dart or Jameis?
I mean, come on. Give me Jameis. That guy is awesome. And I think he deserves to play some more football. Why not? And if Jameis is playing, slam that Detroit Lions anytime touchdown because I can feel a pick six coming from the kid. I mean, that'd be electric. He might get, a couple touchdowns, but I really like the way our defense is playing right now. So I'm not really scared of either of these players being able to put up a lot of points on the Lions. And our offense should be able to do enough. The Giants do have a good pass rush, so I think Goff might be in some trouble there. They got some good players up front, but their rush defense really is not good at all. So I feel like this is a game where we get Montgomery going, run the clock, and our defense should be able to hold up enough to where our offense, is able to get to 24, 30 points, a little get right spot for them. Don't make Goff have to do too much, and just real simple stuff. Get back to the basics. Lions should be able to get this one done.
Yeah, I think the Lions get this one done. I think for me, if I was a Lions fan, I might be even more worried about Jameis than Dart. But I don't know. Dart's had his moments too. It's hard for a rookie, especially coming off his first injury as a professional quarterback, to get back out there and not really worry about that in the past and be able to play as free football as he was early on in the year. But the Lions, I think they have to win this game. They're outside looking in for the playoffs right now. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I think the Chiefs season's done if they lose, and you might feel the same way about this game this week. So I think the Lions need to win, and I think that they will against the Giants. I think they'll cover the 10.5, but I honestly, if I had to pick a side, I'd probably take the Giants, keeping it close enough. That's a lot of points. So I'll be staying away from that line.
Yep, and you'll see my pick in a little bit when we get to our picks. So let's go ahead and move on here to the Steelers versus Bears. Two teams that are right now in the playoff picture winning their divisions, Brent. They got the Bears at -2.5 in this game. Could you see either of these teams winning a playoff game this year?
No, I don't think so, is my short answer. The one I think is more likely is Pittsburgh, just because they've been in the playoffs recently. And maybe you get, just that one Rodgers game you need to, especially depending on the matchups. But for Chicago, they have yet to beat anybody that I'm been impressed with the win. But they do keep winning games, and that is something. Now for the Bears, they've got a tough slate left to close out the season. They've still only played one divisional game, so they've got 5 games left against the Vikings, Lions, and Packers. It's gonna be hard for them, but they've got a head start now at 7-3, a full game up in the division. So we'll see about either of them making it. I still don't think either one does make it to begin with, much less win a game there. But if I had to pick one, I would say the Steelers would give me a little bit better hopes.
Yeah, I'd probably go with the Steelers too. Like you said, the Bears really haven't beaten a lot of good teams, but they're gonna have their tests coming up. I mean, if you would have told me after the Lions dropped 50 on them that they'd be 7-3 leading the division, I would have said you are crazy. So you gotta give them their props. Ben Johnson, he's a good coach. Like he can get guys open, use their weapons effectively. So I could see the Bears making a little bit of noise down the stretch, especially against a pretty stinky Packers team.
Well, and this game is big because while I think both teams are going to probably lose more than they have to start the year, one of them is going to win this game, and whoever does is going to put themselves in a really good spot with just 6 games to play. Now, I do think it's going to be Chicago. I think Chicago does win this game. They've got that real NFC gauntlet with 5 of 6 in the NFC North. But yeah, I'm taking Chicago in this game. The way that they're playing just gives me a little bit more confidence. I guess they have already played the Vikings now, so they've got only 4 more divisional games left after that win against Minnesota, which was an impressive win. I kind of could see this game being very similar.
hmm Yeah, if Rodgers plays in this one, definitely give me the Steelers. I feel like the Bears defense hasn't seen, that many great players. I feel like I know Rodgers, I said should retire, but at the end of the day, he can still throw pretty good dots. And Jalen Warren, he's an absolute dog at the running back position. I feel like the Steelers defense has gotten a lot better, improving throughout the year. So yeah, give me the Steelers if Rodgers plays.
Yeah, they're both banged up, Rodgers and Jalen Warren. So questions on if either of them will play. So we will see. I'll take the Bears though, Luke. We can be on opposite sides on that one. No surprise. Now to an NFC matchup. Eagles Cowboys. The Cowboys coming off maybe their most impressive game of the season. They won handily. The defense looked better. Pickens and Lamb looked like the best combo in the game, and Dak's playing at a high level. Does this Cowboys team inspire confidence against the defending NFC and Super Bowl champions?
I think they definitely do, especially because they've gotten so many new defensive players recently back. They got their linebacker Overshown back. He's an absolute dog. And then they traded for Quinn Williams, another guy. Like they got defensive reinforcements really at this point in the year. And so the way that Pickens and CD are playing, I mean, that's a tough combo to stop. Dak Prescott can definitely get the ball to them. So the Cowboys, I feel like, could make some noise and try to get back in the playoff picture. They absolutely have to have this one, though, in the division at home. And yeah, I mean, this is the game that their season is genuinely on the line. And so they're going to give the Eagles everything they have.
And Dak has historically played really well against the Eagles. He's 5-1 in his career. And this is an Eagles team that has just been winning games, but they don't look right. They don't look completely right. I think the Cowboys at +3 are definitely a good play here at home.
I'd be rocking with you on that one too. I mean, I'd love to see the Eagles lose after what they did to the Lions, so that'd be wonderful for me. But yeah, give me the Cowboys in that one too.
Let's go to Bucks Rams, a Sunday night game, Luke, featuring two teams leading their division in the NFC. But the Rams, they've been the more impressive side. They're 6.5 point home favorites. And after their win last week, have they proven they're the team to beat in the National Football League this season?
The team to beat out of everyone, I think they have. I mean, I had the Seahawks at number one, and the Rams beat them fair and square. So you got to put them at that top spot. I mean, the way Stafford's playing, he looks like vintage Stafford. Even though the Seahawks were able to slow him down, he's still doing enough to win games. And that defense really is something special. With those young players, maturing, getting better. Defensive line is a bunch of dogs too. So yeah, I think the Rams are the team to beat. And frankly, I don't think the Bucks are the team to beat. You know how I feel about them. Definitely a little bit overhyped, so the Rams should be able to take care of business here.
The Bucks just they're just always so banged up. They're trying to get Bucky Irving back. Mike Evans still on IR. Godwin's trying to come back. They've had so many issues and they just have fallen short against those top level teams in the last couple of weeks, losing to both the Patriots and the Bills. So it's hard to give me much confidence that they can win on the road against LA. I think they're just a step below the Rams, who look really strong. But I want to see a little bit more from the offense this week. But obviously, we've talked in the past about Stafford, and he's still the front runner for MVP. I think he can get this one and really make it his race to lose as well by winning a big primetime game against a team that's a quality opponent.
That would be wild if Stafford is winning MVPs. Just brings me back to the good old days of the Detroit Lions. Well, the terrible days, more
Yeah,
like
he's
it.
finally got a winning record. Remember, he got a winning record after that
Yeah,
Seahawks.
oh, he got his winning record. Well, that moves us from our Sunday night game to the Monday night football game. And Brent, we both have the Rams, the current leader in their division, beating the Bucks, the current leader in their division. And we got two teams from those divisions going up against each other in this next matchup. Panthers at 49ers. Brent, one of these teams is going to win this game. Who do you think has a better chance to win their division this year?
I honestly think it's Carolina. I can't believe I'm saying that. I don't think either team does win their division, and I think Carolina loses this game. But if they don't lose this game, if they win, then they're probably ahead of Tampa in the playoff race. They're only a half game back right now somehow. I still do not buy the Panthers whatsoever, Luke. I think that they're going to be tough to trust the rest of the way. You get two free wins against the Falcons. That's pretty nice for anybody. So, congrat congratulations to the Panthers. Credit to them. That I just don't think the 49ers can win the division because I think they're the third best team in their division, whereas Carolina is at least the second best team there. So they only have to get by one team. but the Niners at home, like we talked about, that offense rolling. I like Purdy and Kittle and McCaffrey to have big games and could put the Niners back right there in the mix in the NFC side, though it's going to probably be from a wild card spot because I think the Rams are too far out in front to catch, and they still have to deal with Seattle as well. So not looking good for the Niners, especially because Carolina still has both games right against the Bucks still to go. So
Yep.
they have that chance, whereas the Niners have already played both their games against the Rams. That's why for me, the Panthers are a better play in the division, but the Niners are the better play on Monday night, and they are the better play in just terms of hopes of making the playoffs.
Yeah, Brent. Yeah, and I'm just glad I set you up perfectly to say the Panthers are going to win their division. I mean, it might happen. You never know. They're a team I've always believed in. Everyone knows that, but I feel like they're showing a little something this year. But in this game, I can't say they're going to win, but I don't think the 49ers are going to win. I'll just put it that way.
What does that even mean?
It's going to be a close game. I can't pick the Panthers. Every time I do, they end up losing, and I
Oh
want
yeah,
them to win this so bad.
right,
So
right, right.
I'm gonna say Panthers are going to lose. We'll go with
Okay.
that.
Okay, I see what you're doing now. Pleading the fifth a little bit. Not
Yeah,
a
just a
bad
little
play, Luke,
bit.
especially as we come up to our picks. And last week we both hit our locks to win, but the rest were pretty rough. The only thing I had right about that Chiefs game was RJ Harvey getting stuffed. He was well under his total yards rushing for the game. That was our only prop hit of the week. So we need a bounce back week, Luke. And we're starting off with my upset pick. We've already mentioned this game. I think the Cowboys do win at home against the Eagles. You mentioned that defense. They look a lot better. I still don't think they're going to be a great defense, but they don't have to be great. They just have to be adequate because we know the Eagles are not even really adequate on the other side of the ball on their offense. So as long as the Cowboys can just keep that Eagles defense at bay a little bit, if there's one offense that can explode against a very talented Philadelphia defense, it is Dak, Javante, CD, George, all those guys that have been playing great. So at home, a team that the Cowboys are not scared of. Give me Big D.
I like it, BS. Pause. And for the upset of the week, I'm going Vikings plus 6.5. Another divisional matchup against the Green Bay Packers. I feel like this is the time for the Vikings to get the win they needed, coming off a couple losses after winning against the Lions. And I think this is the game to do it. The Vikings defense is usually pretty solid, and the Packers offense has not looked great. Give me the Vikings in this one. I feel like this is a time where they're going to throw the ball to Jefferson a lot, and he's going to show why he is one of the best receivers in the league. This is a perfect spot for him because this season is on the line for the Vikings. If they lose this, I know a lot of people probably feel it like it's already over, but they're still, they're still, if they can go on a little streak, can make it happen. So give me the Vikings in this one.
Absolutely. I mean, they've got 6 losses. I think if you drop to the seventh loss, you're in a lot of trouble at this point in the season. But you win this game, and Green Bay looks like they're the team that would be in the free fall. They're already in trouble, losing a couple of games recently, and then even last week. And a win wasn't the sturdiest of wins. So I don't think the Vikings win this game, Luke. But if they do, it absolutely shakes up the NFC playoff picture as a whole. Very interesting. I'll be rooting for it because it would make things pretty interesting. Although I'll be not one to be backing it with my Bucks.
Fair enough, Brian. What's your lock?
My lock is your team, the Ravens. I think this has to be the week Lamar puts it together. He's got the Jets, man. I mean, everybody looks good against the Jets. So this is a perfect spot for the Ravens. After sputtering a little bit each of the last 2 weeks against really good defenses, the Vikings and the Browns. Now he's got a team that just doesn't really do much of anything right. They're making another quarterback change. Their best weapon, Garrett Wilson, is hurt. So Ravens 13 and a half. These are the spots where the Ravens just blow people out. And I need to see a Ravens blowout win if I actually believe that they are the team you think they are.
Yep, I think this is a good spot for it, and I think that this lock should be a complete lock. The Detroit Lions. It's another spot. After a loss, the Lions always lock in. Dan Campbell, this is why he's the coach of this team. This is why he's had so much success, is being able to motivate these men to be able to absolutely destroy their opponent. And we're going to see a gritty W here. Not really as far as how close it's going to be. We're going to have to be biting kneecaps all over the place. But it's going to be more of just, we got our asses handed to us. Our offense didn't do anything last week. And this is a time where we show what we can do at home in a spot where we pretty much have to win, like you said, to be in a good spot.
And now for our prop picks of the week. I agree, Luke. I think the Lions win. We'll see. We already kind of talked about that game. So I'm moving on to a game we haven't touched on yet. And it features the Jacksonville Jaguars coming off of a big win against the Chargers, but also features the most explosive offense in football, the Arizona Cardinals. And Jacoby Brissett has been absolutely dealing. His favorite target is Trey McBride. It's probably going to be another week with no Marvin Harrison Jr. McBride minus 130, almost even money for an anytime touchdown. He scored every game with Brissett pretty much. So absolutely, Trey McBoo-Boo, give me that picnic basket and get me in the end zone and maybe a win at home in the desert against the Jaguars to go along with it.
Well, Brent, here we go. I'm going with another Mac, not McBride. This time I'm going with Tetaroa McMillan. Over 61.5 on Monday Night Football. You can guarantee he's going to be able to hit that. Like we were talking about, the 49ers defense has not been very good. Just think about what they did against the Cardinals last week. All those yards. And Tetaroa McMillan just balled out last week against the Falcons. He's getting hot. This is the point in the season where the rookies really start to ascend, the ones that are really special, and he's a player I feel like is in that category. Over 61.5 all day.
Luke, you're kind of like the Lions with your props. You don't lose too many, and then when you do, you definitely don't lose back-to-back weeks. So I am on that one. I'll be playing T-Mac over on Monday night. Sounds like a beaut to me.
Let's do it. And Brent, after all that football talk, you get a little thirsty and you need a 12 pack to really just wash it all down. So, what do you got for us, Brent, this week on the 12 pack?
I need a 12 pack to wash this entire week away, Luke. So hopefully there's brighter things at the end of these bottles. So my 12 teams in the NFL will start at number 12. I'm still putting them on the list. I had a lot of teams to debate for this final spot, final two spots, really. But number 12, I'm still putting the Green Bay Packers in. They defeated the Giants. They took care of business on the road. So well done to the Packers for that win. And I've got Green Bay at number 12. At number 11, just ahead of them, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now they've lost some games, but they've lost games to teams above them on this list. I think they're just right there. They're a good team outside the top 10, but definitely still a team that deserves a spot in this 12 pack. Now we get to the teams I think are real threats or could be, maybe not right now, but they could still be later on this season. At 10 is the Ravens. I want to see them put it all together. Baltimore, they played well in their games with Lamar back, but they've beaten some lowly teams in the Dolphins and the Vikings and the Browns. And they're playing another lowly team, but I want to see them look better as a collective, not just one side of the ball before I put them any higher. The Ravens, though, are moving up the list at 10. Number 9 is Detroit. They've got to come down. They just they looked outclassed against Philadelphia, so they dropped down to number 9 for me. And Kansas City is at number 8. They also got outplayed on the road against a good team, but it speaks for itself this point in the season. You're 5-5, so you got to be outside the top 5, and it's the lowest I've had the Chiefs. I think this is where you had them last week, Luke, at 8. So maybe you were right. Let's move on. And number 7 is the team the Chiefs are playing this week, the Indianapolis Colts. They deserve to be a spot higher, although they also have had their recent issues in games against Pittsburgh and a close win against the Falcons in their last 2 out. But they've got some quality wins over the course of the season. So I think the Colts right now deserve to be higher. That's my bottom 6 of the 12 pack.
Well, Brent, I'm really surprised you had the Colts ahead of the Chiefs there. And I mean, Brent, you saying it yourself. You got a top eight football team in front of you, Brent. I don't know why you're so down in the dumps this week. Well, maybe because you lost to the Broncos, but besides that, oh yeah, you had the Lions below the Chiefs too. But what are we doing here? Um, yeah, you kind of messed that up, Brent. But it's all right. You're in your feelings this week. I would have still had the 49ers in instead of the Bucks. You know how I feel about that. But besides that, you do your thing, Brent. Just let it all out. What do we got for the next six?
Okay, the next six. Maybe there's we can put some a good spin on these teams. I felt like I was dogging all the bottom six teams. Number six is the Seahawks. We'll just talk about that defense. It's very good. And let's talk about that guy, Jackson Smith and Jigba. He came up with another catch of the year candidate this week. He is electric. Seahawks at number six, even after a loss. I've given them some credit because I believe in 21 of their starters. So got them at number six. At number five is Buffalo. I believe in one of their starters, but he's a really good one when he's not two-hand chest passing the ball to the other team at his goal line. So we'll go with Buffalo at number five. That's a good win, bounce back spot. They've got a tough one on Thursday against the Texans. Now we get to the top four, and these are three of the teams we've talked about a lot today because they won the big games last week. At number four is the Broncos. That's a statement win for Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Their biggest win in this 2 year run with both of them in the controls. So they're the highest they've ever been for my 12 pack at number four. Well earned. And number three is the Patriots. I still like the Patriots a little bit more than the Broncos right now. I've got the Patriots at the top of the AFC. They pick up a win against the Jets. It was just taking care of business, but that's what good teams do. That's usually not what happens when you've got a young quarterback and a coach first year at the helm. Sometimes you lose those games. So while the Patriots schedule has been very soft, I think it still speaks volumes about them that they're able to take care of business against those lowly teams because we've seen a lot of quality teams drop games, real head scratchers this year. The Patriots have not done that as of late. Top two. It was back and forth between these two teams. I landed on the Rams still at number two, and I got the Eagles still at number one because the Eagles, to me, somehow looked more impressive in their win than the Rams did. Just because the Rams, they gave Seahawks so many chances. At least the Eagles, while they didn't look the best, they made sure that the Lions did not have any chances late in that game to really come back and win it. So I got the Eagles still at the top and the Rams in a close second. And that is my 12 pack going into week 12.
That's pretty solid up at the top, Brent. I feel like you kind of have to have those teams. Like you said, they got the big wins this week. They were already up in that upper echelon, so you just got to put them up there. I feel like the Broncos maybe should be a little bit higher. I mean, they played such a great game on Sunday and were able to get it done. But yeah, overall, that was a pretty solid 12 pack. And yeah, hopefully our teams will be moving up a little bit come next week.
I hope so, Luke. They're either moving up or they're moving out. So we will see. But that is our week 12 pack. And that is our Hesse Bros show. A little bit more of a somber Hesse Bros this week, at least for me. But I'm excited for Arrowhead this week. Always great to be there. And you got to still enjoy, appreciate this time of year, even if maybe the season hasn't gone to your liking to this point. A lot of football left to be played, Luke. So exciting week 12 ahead.
Absolutely. And yeah, it'll be a great time whenever the Lions are able to get the W. But I hope the Chiefs are able to stick around for at least a couple more weeks.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to the Hesse Bros this week. Hope you had your boxes of tissues or your laughs and your jokes, whatever, whichever way you prefer it. And thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and please fire up for week 12. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week after some more great football.